have a budget coming up in July. What we don't have is a finance minister. We're hoping to perhaps hear some news on that this afternoon. But what concessions do you expect might need to be made here in terms of policy, the pace of reform, the direction of reform, when Narendra Modi is accommodating the desires of a couple of coalition partners?
Hi, great to be here. I think there's going to be a lot of continuity, more than the markets at this point are pricing in. My sense is that a lot of the reforms that Mr. Modi has been championing over the last couple of years should see no threat from coalition partners. Things like public capex, everybody likes new roads and new highways. Things like more SOPs to futuristic sectors like semiconductors, EVs, green hydrogen, a look towards macro stability, bringing down the fiscal deficit gradually, ensuring inflation comes down to 4% target. I think these have been some of the key reforms of Mr. Modi. And I really don't think there's a big case that these will be derailed in any way. In fact, I would say that in the past, coalition governments have actually been able to look at a wider range of reforms over time, rather than just a few reforms of one particular party. And maybe we get a better economic outcome from a coalition government. Probably one area where some changes could creep in is welfare spending. Perhaps we could see slightly higher welfare spending, but I don't think it's going to come at the cost of fiscal profligacy. I think it will be well contained within the fiscal consolidation path. And the government is actually lucky there. It's been getting a lot of RBI dividends. Tax buoyancy has been strong, revenues are very high, and my sense is, it will use some of that to increase welfare spending, which was, by the way, cut drastically over the last 12 months.
Yes, and when it comes to the budget, whoever the finance minister is going to have to thread that same needle that a lot of governments around the world have been trying to thread. How do you balance supporting cost of living increases, those welfare payments that you mentioned, against ensuring your budget isn't inflationary?
Well, yes, it's never easy, but I think the government is lucky this time around because it's got two sources of revenues, which is doing very well for it. One is higher RBI dividend. Now, the RBI is making a lot of money in a lot of the assets it holds, and it gave a large bounty to the government this year. And my sense is some of that is going to continue over the medium term. And the second is tax buoyancy. Now, because of a lot of reforms which have improved the tax information network in India, tax revenues have really gone up sharply. We've been seeing tax buoyancy of about 2 to 3, which is very, very high for the last couple of years. And my sense is that some of that will continue. And this gives a lot of degrees of freedom to the government because it can keep up the accelerator on the capex front to some extent, and also, put in some extra money for welfare spending. When I say extra money for welfare spending, I sort of have a number of 0.2 to 0.3% of GDP. Nothing too large, nothing too unsustainable, just a little bit more than it was in the last year.